Hi, this is Rebekah
and Leslie
with the Geeky Girls Night In podcast. Geeky Girls Night In is a podcast with your fandom family sleepover style.
Empowering fans and creating inclusive fan spaces where we can all be ourselves.
So get your jammies,
grab a drink,
gather the fur babies,
and join the conversation.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back to see us this week.
Welcome, welcome.
We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking, our interview is going to be with Jeff Cannon, who is a fan and writer who wrote the Riley Parra novels. And Riley Parra is about a good cop in a corrupt apartment who discovers a war between angels and demons is being waged in her city. Both sides have chosen mortal champions, and Riley is the only chance the good side has of winning. And Tello Films has made it a web series, so it's streaming on Tello. He also wrote some official Stargate books, so he has some great advice for people who want to write, and it's really fun to kind of see behind the scenes of what that experience is like. Leslie has some exciting news for the Dungeons Dragons, the POC Dungeons Dragons Club. She's got some books to review. I have some announcements of how to win tickets to Hamilton and San Diego Comic-Con, and some really great news also about a random act I applied for with the Supernatural fan charity Random Acts being approved, and some awesome new trailers and lots of geek news. So definitely stick around for the whole thing.
So, it's fall,
Mm-hmm.
and I just came back from the wilderness. Nice. And by wilderness, I mean I was at an Indiana campground with electricity in an RV. But it was still hot, sticky, and gross out.
It was still camping.
It was still camping. I still pooped in a public area that I'm kind of traumatized about, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
What was the weather like?
Oh my God. So that's the whole thing. Like 2 weeks before, we looked at the weather and it was supposed to be like 68 and super nice.
Yeah.
And like I had planned a cute camp and fall wardrobe. We were all going to be in long sleeves and I was going to spend all my time outside because it wasn't the devil's taint. And we get there and it's 89 degrees. 89. It's sticky. It's hot. It's miserable.
No.
My husband and Geeky Baby, they hung outside the whole time. And like they would come knock on the door and they were like, "Are you coming out?" And I'm like, "Why?" What's the point?
You had air conditioning in there?
Exactly. So, but after a while it cooled down and I did go out and we started a fire and it was nice. We went to Patoka Lake if you are in the Indiana area. And if you go to Patoka Lake and you are driving from the north, because it's down in southern Indiana. So if you're driving from the north, you're going to have to take a little back road that I like to call the Devil's Entrails. And the only reason I call it the Devil's Entrails is because I took it at night.
Ooh, yikes.
And like I grew up in a small town, not too small, about a medium-sized town, but I had friends that lived out in the middle of nowhere. So back roads are nothing to me.
Uh-huh.
But this was pitch black. There was no lights. And the road was narrow. So if somebody passed me and I wasn't hugging the side, like I would have got sideswiped.
Jeez, that is
right.
That is unnerving.
And I did it at night. My husband had left earlier, so he could be there and set up the camper. By the time me and Geeky Baby got down there, I hit the Devil's Entrails, and even Geeky Baby knew that there was a problem because I started grasping the wheel, and she's like, "Mama, it's dark." Yes, baby, it is. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna be quiet." I'm like, "Thank you." And it was rough, but we made it through. And I was like I got out the car and I was a little shaky, and I was like, I can't do that again. And my husband pointed, he's like, how would you like to do it with that? And pointing at the camper, and I was like, no, sir, that won't be happening ever in life. The whole
Wow.
point, yeah, the whole point in us being down there, a few months ago, I want to say in February, there was a charity event, and they had a charitable auction, and we won water park tickets.
Okay.
So um, we camped, and then we went into town, and I can't think of the town's name right now, but it's really Patoka Lake. It's really, I don't even know. It's kind of fancy.
Oh,
They
la
have
di
like
da.
a Right. They have like a super fancy hotel, and there's gambling there. And my husband always wants to stay there, but we have a geeky baby and we can't just, stay. Hold on. Resorts near Patoka. I'm trying to remember the name of the place. Um, French Lick. That's it.
Okay.
Because anytime we say the name of it, my husband makes a dirty joke. It's called French Lick, Indiana. And we went to a water park, and you're clear out in California, so do you know what Great Wolf Lodge is?
No.
Okay. Kings Island,
No.
Cedar Point.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Cedar Point and Kings Island are both amusement parks, like big, big amusement parks.
Okay.
But Great Wolf Lodge is like if your family fancy, they like if you're a little kid and your family is wealthy, they would stay at Great Wolf Lodge and then they would go to Cedar Point. So it's like
Okay.
two things in one. Great
Okay.
Wolf Lodge was a hotel, but it had like a huge indoor water park. So
Nice.
like you would go to Cedar Point, play all day, go home, play in the water, and then, collapse in exhaustion.
So is this where you went?
I didn't go to Great Wolf Lodge. I went to something similar to it.
Okay.
Same exact concept. We
Okay.
didn't stay in the hotel there. We just had tickets for the water park. And it was so much fun.
Oh,
It was
that's
absolutely
awesome. I
ridiculous.
want to go
Yes.
camping. I don't know.
It
I need
was
to
it
plan
was
something.
you do. It was really nice. And Patoka Lake, it's an Indiana like state park. It was huge. Um my husband sent me to go get firewood from the shop, and I ended up driving around in circles for 20 minutes. And the sad part about it all was that the shop was literally 2 minutes from our campsite.
So you took the scenic route. You were on vacation. Why not?
Yeah, just in circles, just in circles. And I was like, everybody's camper looks so nice. Look, haven't I seen that one before? Okay, that's fine. So eventually I
Oh
got
my
it and
god.
and got our firewood, and so it was really, really, it was cool. It was
That's
awesome.
nice. That's so good.
And I've gotten completely off track.
That's okay.
The whole point of me talking about fall was I am I'm kind of cold now,
Hmm.
so I am drinking orange blossom tea from the Republic of Tea. Thank you again for sending me that
Ooh.
package of
Oh
tea.
god, that sounds amazing. Orange blossom tea.
Yes, orange blossom tea, and then like because we're fancy over here, I have 7 different types of honey in my cabinet. So I topped it off with some
Nice.
orange blossom honey.
Oh, you fancy.
And yes, I put in a little too much and it's a little cloying, but I'm still going to chug it down because, I'm cold.
You've committed to it.
Yes. What about you? What are you drinking?
Well, it is in the 70s here, 73, I think, right now, but I'm trying to just live in denial and pretend we have autumn weather. And so I am drinking green tea mango
I
tea.
understand. I understand. Lord, I understand. We so thought it was going to be so nice and cold, and it totally wasn't.
No.
Um, in other news, I want to send a special thank you to everybody that's been listening.
Woohoo!
Yes, by the time that this episode is posted, we will have received 3,000 unique downloads of our podcast.
Yes.
Yay! So
That's
thank you
so
so much for that.
exciting.
Yes, I I tweeted a couple times about, how close we were to this goal,
Uh-huh.
and like people have been retweeting it like crazy,
That's so
and
awesome.
like we got like 50 more downloads after that fact. So not 50, but kind of close to that. So, I mean, we're doing it, and we couldn't do it
Yeah.
without you. So thank you so very, very much.
It's so easy to lose track of what you're accomplishing, and then you look back and you go, "Oh."
Yes.
So yeah, it's such an honor that people listen to us, and Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it. So, in other news for me, I've been reading some books. I finally finished The Hate You Give,
Uh-huh.
and on the episode with Quinzel, I mentioned that I was reticent about even starting the book with all the things that are going on in the news, and I don't. I use books as an escapism.
Yeah.
I don't need to be bogged down. And I say this, and I also finished a book about slavery in Haiti.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of heaviness
Yeah.
on
You're
my
like, no, I'm
plate.
gonna do something light. Yeah, because when Quinzel read it, like she was saying she was just emotionally devastated. So I was like, oh
Yes,
no. Yeah.
yes. It was rough, but it also had its funny parts.
Okay.
And one of the things that I want to talk about really quick
Uh-huh.
doesn't really spoil anything about the book. Um, the young woman in this, her name is Star.
Hmm.
She goes to a private school that's not in her hood.
Right.
And she has a boyfriend,
Hmm.
and the boyfriend happens to be white.
Hmm.
And she has an impassioned outburst to him because she's been avoiding him after all this stuff happened.
Right.
And basically screams at him that he's white, he wouldn't understand, he doesn't understand how he's feeling. And then there's other people in the book talking about, oh, she's not down for the cause because
Uh-huh.
she has a white boyfriend. So all of this struck me in my core
Yeah.
because if you guys don't know, I have a white husband. I have
Hmm.
a biracial baby. So
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know that dating whoever you date does not negate your race.
Right.
Star is black. Her
Hmm.
boyfriend is white. This big thing happens. Star continues to be black.
Yeah.
So she can feel the pain of whatever's going around her, based on her race because her race is her race. Her race is not her boyfriend's race.
Right.
So she's allowed to feel what she wants to feel. And another thing,
Hmm.
um, and this doesn't really have to do with the book, sort of. Um, I keep track of my book reading on GoodReads,
Uh-huh.
and I don't write reviews. Mama ain't got time for that. Sorry. But occasionally I'll wade into the comments, and something told me in my soul, Leslie, don't wade into the comments of The Hate You Give. Did
Yeah.
I wade into the comments? Yes, I did. So
Uh,
they were mostly good. And then I got to this one gentleman.
hmm.
And he was like, Star's a racist. She kept pointing out the fact that Chris is white. I'm just
Oh,
like,
girl.
he's like, I can't relate to this book. And I look at
Oh
it,
my God.
yes. So I looked at the picture, he's white. So I ignored him.
Like, you're
And
not supposed
so,
to relate to that.
right.
You're
So,
supposed to empathize, but it's not supposed to be about you.
he's not even empathizing. He's just like, she's a racist. But
Uh,
then somebody added on to his comment, and she's like, yeah, you know, I'm from Australia, and in Australia, it's not, racism isn't as bad. So I
oh
just
my.
really don't. So,
Oh.
at that point, I jumped in, and I wasn't rude. Okay, I was rude, but I
Uh-huh.
wasn't horribly
Unreasonable.
rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, Australia isn't racist. The lost
Oh
generation, anybody.
my God.
So
What was an
I don't know.
Australia? It was an Australian cartoonist that just did that hella
Yeah,
racist cartoon about Serena, and they were like, "We don't know what you're talking about, racist."
right. And
Mm.
so that's the only thing I could think of was the fact that you I can't even talk. The Aboriginals
Mm-hmm.
in Australia, there's a whole generation of their children that's completely lost to them
Yeah.
because the Australian government came up, yanked them out, and placed them with non-Aboriginal families, even though they had perfectly fine families here.
Yeah. The history is horrific. I mean, any racism
Yeah,
is everywhere. Don't try to tell me you're a human being and your entire country is not racist. Because when people say that, just the siren goes off in my head that this person is in complete denial.
it was rough. So
Yeah.
I backed out of there really quickly before I, lost my grip on reality,
Uh-huh.
and went on about my business, kept it moving. So then I finished up. what is called the Santeria Habitat series,
Uh-huh.
and it's by a woman named Kenya Wright. And this was recommended to, well, I guess everybody by a guest that we've had on the podcast before. Her name is Stitch,
Uh-huh.
and I follow her on Twitter now, and she was talking about a writer by the name of Kenya Wright, and she writes POC, um, supernatural, um, romance novels, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Romance novels, supernatural, just all sorts of like mystical things.
Cool.
So, yes, so she mentioned one of the books, and like, so I started Googling, and the precursor to the books, which is like 4 different stories, I believe, is free. You can
Oh,
get that
nice.
free on Kenya Wright's website. So I
Okay.
read that, was hooked, went ahead and bought the first book, plowed through all the rest of them.
Nice.
So it's going to be a rough read. I'm going to tell you that right now, based on the political climate that we're in.
Yeah.
And close your eyes for me. I'm going to break it down.
Okay.
All right. So in 1970, it was discovered that there were supernaturals in the world.
Okay. Okay.
Fairies, demons, witches, and vampires. And I think there might be something else. Um, oh, shapeshifters, like
Ooh,
werewolves,
cool. Yeah.
were-leopards, things like that.
Okay.
So, and then you got your humans. And well, as humans are want to do when things are different, they get a little touchy. And so there was a big, supernatural / human war of 1970s.
Okay.
The only people that did not participate in this war were the vampires. They ran away.
Dang vampires. Typical vampires. Oh,
Right. They ran away, and like they're also resented now because they feel like everybody else feels like if vampires would have participated, supernaturals would have won the war.
okay.
But they didn't. Humans did. And as a result, the if you are any type of supernatural being, you are sent to a sanctuary city,
Okay.
right? It's caged up,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like 4 different cities, and the one where like most of these stories takes place is in the Santeria series, and I'll tell you why that is in a minute. So, um, at birth, if you are supernatural, you are branded
Okay.
in the middle of your forehead with whatever it
Well,
is you are.
hell. Right in the
Right.
middle of your forehead.
Right in the middle of your forehead.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then
Don't bother with like a calf or a bicep. Okay.
nope, right in the middle
Okay.
of your forehead. And then
Well.
there's like something underneath it, something
Mm-hmm.
digital so that you can be traced.
Okay.
Right. And it tells what you are. Now, within the sanctuary, there is also a hierarchy. So you got your purebloods, you got your pure witches, you got your pure were animals, pure fairies, though they kind of keep low to the ground. They don't
Uh-huh.
want you to know about them.
Okay.
And then you've got your mixed bloods.
Okay.
Like fairies have like had a baby with something else that is not fairy.
Okay.
And their brand is just, I think it's an X.
Okay.
And so like everybody looks down on them. Yeah.
Always. It's always that way.
It's always that way. So like it sounds rough, and it is. And but it's also kind of funny. So our protagonist is a young woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she is hilarious.
Is she a human or a supernatural?
She is supernatural. Her name
Okay.
is Lenore Vesta,
Okay.
and she is mixed.
Okay.
And she is actually she's a little different because usually when somebody's mixed, it's like were leopard, or not were leopard, but a were animal and a witch, or a vampire and something else.
Okay.
Just mix. She's mixed with a fairy and a demon.
Well, that sounds like a unique mix there.
So as a result, she had like, and that's another thing. Like people that are mixed, if they have powers, they keep them to themselves because if somebody starts shit,
Mhm.
uh, like then they like if somebody starts something and they don't know what this person's powers are, you know, it makes it easier for the person to fight them.
Okay.
So like she keeps kind of a low profile, and then you find out that she can burn the mess out of you. She can manipulate fire. She like instead of sweat, she exudes a something called pyrobem, and it's like a liquid that just kind of rests on her skin at all times.
Okay.
So it's kind of a love story between her and a were leopard. And oh, and that's another thing. Were animals, they have a period where they're still kind of not children, but they're young adults. And because of that, they hump everything in sight. Like they have sex with everything.
Okay.
Everybody. Just they're incapable of being young. Were animals are incapable of being in a relationship
Okay.
because they have to have the sex all the time. They're just wild. But I guess Lenore and this dude, they grew up together. Both their parents were drug addicts, and like they kind of came together. And the young Ware person realized that she was his mate, and it's a mess. So I'm not explaining it very well,
Uh-huh.
but know that there's lots of supernatural stuff. There's fire.
Uh-huh.
There's sex. There is an adult demon who is absolutely hilarious, like her daddy.
Okay.
Um, like apparently somebody marked her as in, you know,
Right.
wanting to be her one and only, and that messed with her scent. Her daddy is off the charts. He comes and sets a building on fire. He's like, I like to be able to know where my daughter is. And the way I know where my daughter is by her scent. Now, somebody has done something to her scent and she
Uh-huh.
does not smell right.
Uh-huh.
So who do I need to set on fire?
Oh shit.
So that's the kind of
Yeah.
like he's hilarious and all he's ever concerned about is skin because
Okay.
he's a demon and demons love skin.
Uh
So like he goes
it
it's
sounds
like
bananas. But sometimes I
it
like bananas, so
it's so hilarious. But here's the problem. There is one problem with this whole series. The third book is called Wildfire Gospel.
okay.
I finished that book and I was told that there was a like a kind of a novella, a 3.5 book, if you will.
Uh-huh.
Like it even says it on GoodReads. There's a picture of the cover and everything. It doesn't exist.
Is it in progress or what?
It doesn't know because she's made tons of other books after this and she has not revisited this. Not
Oh
only does it not exist,
no.
there are like 50, 11 questions that she did not answer in Wildfire Gospel.
So it was like a cliffhanger or you just want more?
There's a cliffhanger. There's
Oh
like,
no.
yeah, there are like several threads like
Yeah.
intertwined. Like her boyfriend has gone completely bananas and we need to know what happened to him. Um she was doing some bidding for some vampires. We need to know what happens there.
Mhm.
We need to find out where her daddy is. Um,
So there's just a ton of threads just hanging
right.
there.
She is one of because like I said, mixed race people are second class citizens.
Right.
So she had to petition to be allowed to go to college. She's a top student, but we don't know if she ever graduates.
Mm.
So there's a lot missing. Like I have written the author. This is how deep it has gotten. I have written the author and I was like, look, there are so many threads
Mhm.
left unthreaded in this last book. Is there the 3.5 novella? If so, where can I buy it? I will
Uh-huh.
buy it off of. As a matter of fact, if you just want to give it to me, I have a Kindle. So you just email me the PDF and my Kindle, like I have a Kindle email address and it will convert it.
Oh
So
no. Oh
whatever
no.
you want to do, you take check? Do you take PayPal? I'm pretty sure I can get a Cash App. Little kind of wary about that because I'm an old, don't know what that is, but I'll figure it out if you just give me this book.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on,
Right,
and
right.
I really need her to respond.
Yeah.
So
You're having a reader
that's
meltdown. I feel you.
that. Oh my, there's so much missing, but oh, okay, okay. So woo, in other more happier news,
uh
past few weeks I've been talking about, getting together POC D&D, and it's going to come to fruition.
Yay.
Yay! And I've got good news for you because you said that you wanted to participate as well,
Uh-huh.
that you could learn. He said that you can. I just got to bring my laptop with me. And as long as you got a
Nice.
printer that can scan, we get you a character card and, we'll have you on Skype and everything will be good.
Ooh, fun. Now I gotta get print and scan. But yeah, awesome.
So, big shout out to Clayton at Good Games in Indianapolis. They're
Uh-huh.
the ones that are going to be hosting this. This is going to happen on November 4th. We're going to have
Ooh.
2 sessions, one at noon Eastern Time and one at 6 Eastern Time. Each one of the events, because D&D lasts a while, will be about 3 hours long. He said we can bring in food. So I'm going to try and cook something up for y'all.
Nice.
So I'm going to need you to come. Um, the ages, anybody can play, anybody can join. I asked about a minimum age. What age did he think, would be
Uh-huh.
good for this? Ages 8 is probably the lowest we want to go. 10 would be superb, but you have to know, your children and whether they want to sit there for 3 hours
Right.
and adventure. The way that we're doing this is we're not creating characters this time around. We'll use already generated ones.
And it's gonna be like a beginner's sessions?
It's a complete beginner session. They're going to walk us all through it.
Nice.
We will have I will have some goodies there for you guys. I'm working with another company, see what we can do about that. Um,
That's so exciting.
I
Learning
know.
D&D.
Yes. So also the day of the event, if this is something that you really like, that you're really going to do, in the game store, you'll have a 10% discount on the day of play. So like anything you purchase will be 10%. You'll have 10% off.
Cool.
Um,
This
I
sounds like
need
it's gonna be so much fun. I'm so
right.
happy.
So I need a count of who all is coming because you can't actually have like 20 people in a session.
Uh-huh.
Apparently that doesn't work so good.
Okay.
So if you could email me at leslie@geekygirlguide.com and let me know if you're coming and what session you're coming for, that would be appreciated. And Rebekah, I thought maybe like we could do um, our podcast episode that day
Uh-huh.
from there.
Ooh, how fun.
So I'll talk with Clayton, see how
Okay.
that works, and see what we can do. But I thought that
Then
would
you
be a
can
good
interview a
idea.
few people there and get to
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah, yeah,
folks, and that'd be fun. Yeah.
yeah. So, but like I said, there's one at 12, one at 6. I'll have more information. Me and Quinzel are working on flyers. It's downtown Indy, but it's literally right next to a parking lot.
So
It's
that won't
like,
be a problem.
right.
That's good.
Like they have parallel parking everywhere, but I don't parallel park. So parking lot is great for me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Clayton was like, I walked in, he was super happy to see me. We sat there, we talked about it. Um, we picked a date. It's great. So I hope you guys will come out. I hope you'll attend. Make sure you hit me up and let me know if you are indeed coming. So,
Cool.
hooray!
Look at you making stuff happen.
I
I'm
know,
so
I
proud of
try.
you. I'm so proud of you. Cool. Okay, well, I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yes.
Um, so my stuff, I wanted to say my random act got approved. So just a little background for those who don't know, the Supernatural fandom has a nonprofit which was started by Misha Collins. Um, and it is now actually the new executive director. We have a new executive director. Um, and it's Rachel Miner. So, okay, it was started in 2009, I think it is. So Rachel Miner, who played one of the incarnations of Meg Masters on Supernatural, is now the executive director. And one of the cool things about it is you can apply for just pots of money to do acts of kindness for people.
Mm-hmm.
So a little while ago, I applied to do an act of kindness for a woman. She and her husband were pulled over on the way to the hospital when she was giving birth, and he was picked up by ICE for deportation. And they didn't have any proof that he had done anything. They're they just do whatever they want to do. So anyway, she was then on her own in a gas station, and she ended up going, getting to the hospital and having their fourth baby. And so I applied for some money, and so Random Acts is going to give me some money to take the kids back to school shopping and to get her some baby supplies.
Yay!
Because she's suddenly on her own without, the breadwinner, and she has 4 children. So I'm really excited about that. I just got the word today, so I'm going to be contacting her through the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice. So fandom can be very powerful, and the website is randomacts.org. You can go on, do your own act of kindness. You see anyone in your community who needs anything, and you want to provide them with an act of kindness, go and apply, because it's pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Doctor Who today. Oh,
Wait a minute.
God.
Wait a minute before you start your Doctor Who spiel.
What?
This kind of connects.
Okay.
Jodie Whittaker becomes the first ever Doctor Who Barbie doll.
Oh, wow.
So
Yes.
Pre-orders for it begin midnight tonight, October 7th, at Hot Topic, BBC Shop, and Barbie.com for delivery December 3rd. Just FYI.
That's so exciting. So yes, they did a simulcast already today at my time at 10:45, but I'm having some people over, so I wanted to wait till they replay it in the evening. So I'm trying to stay off Twitter and not get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really excited, to see. To me, the show has always meant sort of like hope, and possibility, because mostly the TARDIS, can take you anywhere in space or time, and the Doctor always, up until now, was a he who, just always has belief in humanity and what we can be, and there's just always hope, and that everyone can be special and everyone can have something to offer. So, to see that hero now be a woman as of today, it's a very exciting day. I've got my Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who t-shirt on. I've got some friends coming over in a little bit, and I will do, I will definitely be letting you guys know what I think very soon.
Awesome.
Now we know New York had their Comic-Con this past weekend, so there was a lot of news coming out of it, a lot of interviews, and we heard more about a couple of shows. So Good Omens has a trailer now. Have you read Good Omens?
I have not. I've never heard of it.
So it was a collaboration between Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
Both amazing authors. I mean, Terry Pratchett, who's passed away now, just his books are just flippin' delightful. You just read them and they're so full of irreverence and magic and the unexpected and the hilarious and weirdos and people who don't fit in. And, they're just, if you ever need a pick-me-up, you look for a Terry Pratchett novel, because
Cool.
they're amazing. And then, of course, we all know Neil Gaiman is incredible and has produced so many beloved books. So it was their collaboration, and it's about a demon and an angel who are living on Earth, and they've known each other, on opposite sides, for like 6,000 years through the history, and but then heaven and hell decide that it's time for the apocalypse, so they end up kind of realizing actually they really don't want the Earth to be destroyed. And they sort of rebel against their respective, overlords to try to save the Earth. And it's just, oh my God, it's an amazing book. And so Neil Gaiman himself was the showrunner. So
Okay.
you get the author actually doing it. And, he in his interviews, he talks about really wanting to make sure it's something Terry Pratchett would have loved. And so the trailer, so it is, David Tennant plays the demon.
Okay.
Let me bring it up. Sorry, I'll delete that out. But
That's fine.
So David Tennant plays the demon, Azrael, and then Michael Sheen plays the angel.
Okay.
So they're amazing, and the previews look fantastic, and it's just going to be great to see it on screen done by someone who really knows why it's special and why we love it. So definitely check out the new trailer. We also got a new trailer and a release date for Daredevil season 3, October 19th, dropping on Netflix. It looks to be very dark, and it looks to be that Daredevil is going, okay, I've been playing too nice with these people, because unless you stamp out evil permanently, you can't win. So it's kind of like he's verging on that edge, of being a monster himself, and that's looks like what they're showing it to be. So it looks very, very, very dramatic. And then, of course, this last week, Chris Evans tweeted that he officially wrapped on Avengers 4. And he says, it was an emotional day to say the least. Playing the role over the last 8 years has been an honor. And he says he's eternally grateful. And, of course, Twitter just kind of exploded. I feel like people knew that Chris Evans, this was the end of his contract. It's been
he wanted to go. He wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, like he said, he's been playing it for 8 years. He's probably wants to do something else. He's probably tired. He'd probably like to take a break and count his money. Who knows? Yes. But that's a long time to play a character. But Twitter just exploded. People are like, of course, just grief, because everybody loves Chris Evans. Because I think he's definitely one of the best cast superheroes in history. And I feel like Captain America, much like Superman, has the potential to be bland. People, when they are like, oh, if someone's a Boy Scout, it's going to be kind of boring. And I think when you have someone like Chris Evans who kind of imbues it with just like this decentness that is and this resilience that is really endearing, it doesn't end up bland, and so it's hard to let go of him. But also people are like, oh, spoilers much, you're gonna kill him off. It doesn't mean they're gonna kill him off.
No,
these things, people always get recast eventually. They'll go back in time, they'll go forward in time, they'll do a whole new next generation, they'll do all kinds of stuff. It doesn't mean he dies, it doesn't mean he doesn't die, but it's not a spoiler. We knew he was leaving, but again, of course, everyone grieved, and that is to be expected. But we still have all the movies to go back and watch.
So does the Avengers 4 take place after Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, or I don't know how this works, because there's so much going on right now.
Yeah, I think next is let's see. Okay. Here is the well, it says Avengers 4 is May 3rd, 2019. Okay, so it's going to go in this order. Captain Marvel is March 8th, 2019.
Okay.
Avengers 4 is going to be May 3rd, 2019.
So Captain Marvel will have time to fix what just happened, and then okay.
Yeah, and then it looks like there's another Spider-Man in 2019, so on July 5th. So
I'm so sick of Spider-Man.
I'm not, because I don't watch him.
I just like, there's been like, how many Spider-Man have there been? There have been like 50, 11 Spider-Man.
I think actually the new one is probably the best one, to be honest.
I mean, he seems like a cute kid.
He seems like a sweetheart. And I did see, I don't know, I got tired of him, and I kind of, I always found Spider-Man kind of the most boring one, but I did see the latest one and thought it was really good.
Like, Tobey Maguire always looked like he was about to cry, and he was always late everywhere, and I was just like, I don't need this. So
you're killing me. You're so funny. Like, I don't need this. Late everywhere, stressed out dude.
Yeah,
you're so funny.
Like, he's chasing after Mary Jane. Mary Jane is like with everybody, and I don't know
yeah. Yeah, I would honestly, I've always found him to be the most boring one, but actually, My son saw the new one, and that actually got him into Marvel. Whereas before he was like, "Oh, I don't care about comics. I just care about manga." But then he
Yeah.
saw this last Spider-Man, and actually, that's kind of what made him fall in love with it. So then he's like, "You have to see it." So I saw it,
Well,
and I thought Tom Holland was fantastic. It's
well, that kid looks about your kid's age. I
yeah,
know he's like early mid-20s, but
he
he looks
is. He
all of 12
is.
years old. So
He's 22 years old. It says.
yeah, he
Yeah.
looks like he's not legal to drink
Right.
anything but milk.
But he's so
So like
talented and precious. I can see why
he
people love
what I'm
him.
saying though is like your son probably is like, "Oh, he's my age. He's
Right?
pretty cool."
He
It's
can
like,
relate.
no, sweetheart. He's like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, next thing, San Diego Comic-Con. I know it's almost a year away. I know it's only October and it's not till late July next year. But guess what? Returning pre-registration next Saturday.
Oh
So
wow.
basically, us San Diego Comic-Con acolytes or attendees or obsessives, we get like 2 months of the year that we don't have to worry about prepping for Comic-Con.
That's
So next
insane.
Saturday is returning pre-registration. So I'm gonna try to get my tickets. You get 2 chances if you're returning. So, but if you would like to win a Comic-Con experience, so I don't know if you're aware, but Comic-Con is actually starting a museum. There's a Comic-Con museum, and part of raising funds for it is they are going to be giving out, because this is the 50th
Oh wow.
anniversary of Comic-Con next year. 50th. So they're going to make it a huge, massive deal. And the museum is giving away 4-day passes, a personal Comic-Con concierge, reserved seating in Hall H. Nobody gets reserved seating in Hall H. Nobody.
So that means you don't have to camp out?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think maybe Joss Whedon gets reserved seating. Maybe, you know what I mean? But like, reserved seating is a lot to be able to just have it ahead of time, you know?
But do I get a litter to carry me to the front of the line with like Marvel men? Like I'm like on a fainting couch.
Yes.
And
No,
I'm like,
that's
watch me,
awesome.
peasants, watch me.
So flight and hotel accommodations and attending the Comic-Con's inaugural gala. So that's what they're giving away. They're giving it away on Omaze. I don't know if you've been on Omaze, but it's OMAZE.com. So Omaze, San Diego Comic-Con. It's basically gambling. I know it's giving away my money, but it is for a good cause. It's a nonprofit. So I did that. And then the other thing that got my $10 was another giveaway they're doing. So I love Lin-Manuel Miranda with just the Fire of 1,000 Suns. And
Who doesn't?
you know what? I found some on Twitter who doesn't.
They're weird.
She was complaining. She called it toxic positivity.
How? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, girl.
which just shows to me that you just can't please everybody.
No.
Oh, the Ome San Diego Comic-Con giveaway is only till October 18th. Okay, just so you know. Now moving on, Prizeo. Lin-Manuel Miranda always does Prizeo for his giveaways. So Prizeo. He is doing a giveaway because he is going to play Alexander Hamilton again for a limited amount of time. Yes, in Puerto Rico. So what he's going to do, because he's trying to, he's always hard at work for Puerto Rico. And so the Hamilton tour is going there, which actually when his previous show, The Heights, went there, I think it was like the first time a traveling Broadway show had ever been to Puerto Rico.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, so he's taking his show back and he's trying to raise a lot of money, for the arts there, for Flamboyant Arts Fund. And so what that is travel, hotel, tickets, cast after party, meeting Lynn. And he's done this for opening night, I think, in London and a few other places. So I can imagine that this raises a lot of money, and I certainly already bought my ticket. So I'm sure I'm not going to win, but I'm going to try. So
Right.
The deadline for that is November 5th.
Lin-Manuel Miranda confuses me because when he has his ponytail, I'm all like, sweet little cinnamon bun, and then he cut his hair, and I was like, hey, babe. and That was not a reaction I was expecting because he's the
Oh,
same man. He just cut
yeah.
his hair.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love him absolutely any way I can get him.
he's so
He's an
sweet. He's
amazing
just got
man.
these huge eyes, and you just want to give him puppies and let him sit somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know who I have a bigger crush on though, him or his wife. His wife is amazing too.
His wife is hilarious. She's like, he's nuts.
Yeah.
Don't encourage him.
Anyway, so I entered those two contests. If you guys want to check it out, the links will be in the show notes.
Yes.
Um, and the consolation prize for not winning will be donating to a good cause.
Yes.
So yeah, that's all I've got. You guys stay tuned for the interview with Geonn Cannon. We had a great time talking to him, talking about Star Trek and Stargate, SG1, and Quantum Leap,
Yes.
and AO3, and Live. We had a great time, a really fun nerd talk. So stick around for that, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so as promised, we have Geonn Cannon here. Welcome, Geonn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for calling in. So, Geonn is a writer who lives in Oklahoma. He is the author of several novels, including the Riley Parra series, which is currently being produced as a web series for Telefilms. He also writes official tie-in novels for Fandemonium's Stargate SG1 series, which is very cool. That's a classic.
Yes.
So, welcome. Thanks again for calling in. And tell us a little about how you got into writing sci-fi novels and a little bit about the two in your bio, the Stargate and the Riley Parra.
Well, I didn't necessarily jump into sci-fi. I've always liked sci-fi, but I write in all the genres: romance, mysteries, thrillers. Sci-fi is just it has the strongest fan base and the most dedicated fans. So those are the ones that get the most attention because if you do good sci-fi, the fans will show up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And I know I'm
So,
one of them. I've always loved sci-fi.
Oh, nice.
really? See, I've just now started to get into it, so it's been a ride. So
Yeah,
I didn't realize how much I liked it until I started reading it. It
yeah,
was like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, so tell us a little bit about what motivated you to write LGBT heroes like your Riley Parra series.
That was because I've always been drawn to powerful women, strong women, the female characters in shows like uh, Jadzia Dax on Deep Space Nine
Yes.
or Sam Carter on Stargate. I like them the most. So I was like, I'm going to focus on the women because you have like 3 men and 1 woman. And I'm like, I'm going to have as many women as possible. And if I have to have a love interest, why not just make her gay so that her love interest can be a woman too? And that gives me more female characters to play with. And that's just what I've been doing ever since I started writing.
Cool.
So, real quick, you mentioned Jadzia Dax. How you feel about Esri?
She's fine.
Is
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah,
like
she
every
brought something new to the show, but,
yeah.
she wasn't Jadzia.
No, not even a little bit. So, that's all I had on that one. Sorry,
That's okay.
sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. So Riley Parra is a series now on Telefilms, which I've seen the first couple of episodes. It's totally right down my alley, like angels, battling demons, women detectives. Very, very cool. So how did the deal come about with Telefilms? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I had the books. They started as short stories. I wrote a short story, and it wasn't novel length. The short story that turned into what the first season is on Tello. And I was like, well, I don't want to just keep writing these over and over and over because people really like them, but I wanted to write other stuff. And I said, okay, if I call the stories episodes and I collect them as seasons, I can take a break in between, and people will know that I'm going to come back to it. And that way I can pretend it's like a TV show because I didn't even imagine it would ever happen, like come real. I was like, this is the only way it'll ever happen, but it was fun to pretend.
Yeah.
So I would collect them as that. And one of the readers, a fan/friend named Lisa, she has been a fan of Tello. And she said, hey, they're open to pitches. So you should pitch one of your stories, like Riley Pryor to them. And I was, I don't belong. They wouldn't want me. But that's where I started. The worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only way they can say yes is if I put together a pitch and see what happened.
That's
and I did, and Kristen looked over it, and she explained the characters, explained the story. And it took about 6 months of that before she was like, you know what, I want to do this. This is something I want to make. And then after that, I think it was like 2 years of just her working behind the scenes and getting everything right and ready before it premiered. And you can tell she really poured her heart and soul into making it as good as it could be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the
yeah.
actresses are great as well.
So, oh yeah, yeah. I've loved Liz Vassy since the 90s. I've been a fan of hers forever. And when they said that they got her for it, I was like, the Liz Vassy is going to be in my show?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yes.
How much involvement do you have in this series?
I have a lot. I have more than anybody could ever hope to. Because when you're a first-time writer, usually it's just I handed it over and that's it. You know, somebody else will write it. But with me, Kristen, she wanted to be sure I wasn't just somebody saying, you come in and do all the work for me. She wanted to be sure that I was going to pull my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, write a script, show me what you got. And I wrote the script, and I've written all the scripts.
Oh, okay.
That's
And
so cool.
Kristen has, so that's all. And Kristen and Liz Vassy both, they do run-throughs on it. They change dialogue, they fix things. There was a scene in last week's episode that I didn't write at all. Mm-hmm. It was completely Kristen, because I didn't know that the character was going to be available. I didn't know the actor was going to be available.
Okay.
So Kristen wrote that on set. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And Kristen has admitted several times that she's never even read the books.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
She just liked the story and wanted the script. That's cool.
Yeah, she doesn't want to, contaminate the story from the book with the story from the show, and she wants to make sure the show makes sense for people who haven't read the books. So I kind of bridge that gap.
That actually kind of makes sense because, we've all seen those movies or shows based on books that clearly, are kind of just a tepid version of the book as opposed to their own thing. Yeah. And so that sounds like it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and you watch a movie that's based on a book, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, if you read the book, you'll know that this does this, and they're like, yeah, but I didn't read the book. I watched the movie. That should be a separate thing. Yeah. So, that's kind of my job to make sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, definitely, because I've seen the first couple episodes, and like I said, it's totally my jam, so I'm definitely going to order the books now, but sometimes I like seeing it in that order, so.
Right.
So it sounds pretty collaborative. That's really great.
Yes, absolutely.
And how'd you feel the first time you saw it on the screen?
It was, you can't describe it. I mean, the first time I saw Miriam introduce herself as Riley, and I'm like, that's a character that I made up, and she's on screen, and Miriam is just so perfect for Riley. I mean, her look, everything about her.
She's great.
So Riley.
Yeah.
And it's surreal, and it's awesome, and it's like, this is who I pictured in my head when I was writing it. Even if I didn't know her at the time, it just, it just fits, and that's the thing from my head on the screen, and it's the story that I'm telling, and like Connor Trenier from Star Trek Enterprise is explaining the story that I made up, the backstory of.
Yes.
And that took a while to get used to.
That's cool, though. So you mentioned Star Trek real quick, but for fans like us, seeing that Marina Sirtis was in season 2 was really exciting.
Yeah.
How did you react when you learned that?
I was on the phone with Kristen, and I don't think she even made a really big deal about it. She was just talking about the people that she was bringing in. And she said, and we have Marina Sirtis playing Gail Finney. And I got sick. Like, my stomach twisted.
Oh, no!
I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. But I held it together. I was professional on the phone, and then I freaked out to my friends. I was like, "You're not going to believe what I just heard." But yeah, I grew up watching Next Generation, and to have her in the show, I had to wait until I actually saw her on screen. I saw her reading the dialogue. I was like, all right, now I believe it's real.
Yeah.
She seems like a really nice lady. I follow her on Twitter. So
yeah,
she's always fighting with somebody that's I don't even know how to conservatives, I guess, that are just rude to her sometimes.
Yeah.
And she claps back, and she claps back hard. I'm like, hey girl, hey.
She does not back down.
No.
She doesn't back down, and she doesn't suffer fools. So
yeah.
I want to stay on her good side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she is.
Cool.
She seems so sweet. I mean, I met her at my first convention when I was 19 was a Star Trek convention in Pasadena. So I definitely I have met her just the once, but I also grew up watching her, and Deanna Troi was just the OG. She was a babe. I loved her so much. And then I always read like the novels, like oh God, I'm forgetting the novel, the name of it, the one that has like her and Riker's backstory. I read those too.
Yes. I just read that one like last year. So, but yeah,
I gotta look it up because I can't just not. Oh yeah, Imzadi. Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's
yes. So like I could not get enough. I loved her so much. So that's really, really awesome, and I can't wait to get to those episodes. Because I came on. I found out through Tello because I met Kristen and Bridget at Klexicon last year, or was that this year? Oh God, time flies. That was this year. And that's kind of how I find out by getting the Tello subscription and everything like that. So, so it was really fun discovering it that way.
Yeah. And it's fun because she is sweet and she fights with the conservatives all the time on Twitter. And her character in Riley is somebody at the premiere said that she was an Alex Jones type.
Oh, no. So she's the opposite. Oh, wow. I can't wait to see that.
It's accurate, but Kristen said, you're so lucky that she's not here because if she heard you say that she was Alex Jones, she would be flying over there to get at you.
That is so amazing, though. Fun. How things can come full circle like that. That is so cool.
Yes.
So, having such a great outcome with your Riley Parra novels and also getting to write Stargate, like official tie-in novels, that's a really great honor, too.
Oh, yeah. That was my first convention with Stargate XG1 in 2004.
Very cool.
So I've always, that's my show, and to be able to write it is just unreal.
Wow, that's such an honor, and that's so great. I love to see when fans get to be part of creating the canon. That's so fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's hard to follow that stuff, but what are you writing now?
Right now I'm working on a standalone novel about spies in East Berlin.
Ooh.
And that is, I wanted to write a polyamory story. Uh-huh. 3 women together in a loving, not just a threesome, but just 3 people in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I had this spy story that kind of fit that well. So I'm working on that right now. And I'm also working on the next installment of my Underdog series, which is, when my friend told me to pitch to Tello, it was either Riley Parra or Underdogs that I was going to pitch.
Oh, what's Underdog?
And Underdog is a lesbian werewolf private investigator in Seattle.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah, I know. That's everybody is. It's amazing, but it needs to be set in Seattle. And I've never really seen good werewolf CGI in even the highest budget thing. It always looks kind of janky.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
So I was like, well, Riley, even with Angels and Demons, is going to be a little easier to do. But I still want to do an Underdogs someday. Because everybody that elevator pitch, lesbian werewolf private eye, is, everyone's like, I'm there.
Yes.
Where can I read it? So, that's the 8th book in that series.
Okay, I got to go look those up.
Yes.
A Grimm is set in Seattle. That's a fantasy one set in Seattle with lots of beasties. I don't know if you've seen that one, but I think that's a great setting.
Yeah. Oh, it works really well.
Now, for a little fun lightning round, these are quick questions for you. So,
Okay.
if you were asked to give a 20-minute presentation on any nerdy or pop culture topic with no prep time at all, what topic could you present on?
Stargate. No question. I can get it down to 20. You probably have to cut me off, but yeah.
What would your thesis be? What would you say?
I would just be talking about why it's the best Star series. Better than Star Wars, better than Star Trek. It's us. It's people today going through the Stargate into these crazy situations, and they're not perfect. They have prejudice. They're not always the good guys. There's the main character, Jack O'Neill. He's prejudiced against Russians because of backstory, and he does not like Russians. He doesn't trust them. All that, and there's diplomacy, and like there's one episode where they ask the Air Force for help, this other planet, and the general says, no, interfering in other cultures is not what the Air Force does. And Jack just looks at him and says, since when, sir?
Fair enough.
And yeah, so you could go down a whole rabbit hole of these are just human people, they're going to mess up, they're going to do their best. And I don't know. I just really like that. So, yeah, I could go on for a while about that.
Nice. If you could choose any fictional character as your invisible friend, who would you choose?
Well, I just watched it, so I've got to say the Doctor.
Yes. I can't wait. I'm watching it in an hour and a half. Oh, my God. I can't wait.
Ooh. 10 is my Doctor.
Uh-huh.
Peter Capaldi would be fine. Jodie Whittaker, of course. Having just seen her, I'd take her as an invisible friend.
Nice.
But yeah,
ooh, I can't
pretty
wait.
much any doctor would be a good friend to just hang around.
That's cool. All right. What series other than Stargate have you watched every single episode of?
I watch most shows straight through. I don't skip episodes. So I'm going to go with the one that I've seen multiple times, and that is Quantum Leap.
Oh, that's
my
a good
gosh.
one. Oh, that's a classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of my first sci-fi loves. Is I would watch it every week. I would tape it on VHS, and I would edit the tape so that one leap went straight into the next one.
Nice.
So when we watched the VHS, it would just be a stream of leaps. And it was
yes.
I just loved it. It was so good. And Scott Bakula is still fantastic.
Is it streaming
Yes.
anywhere right now?
It's not. No, I think it used to be on Netflix. But
It
it's not.
was. It was like my husband sat there and watched every single one, and I sat there with him and annoyed the mess out of him asking questions.
Yeah.
So you pretty much have to have the DVDs at this point then, huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I still have my VHS somewhere. And I had the novels. I had the entire novel series. There are people who don't even know there are novels.
That would be me.
And I have these. Yeah. They released 18 novels. And I have the whole series. So that's how deep. Yeah.
I may have to try and grab some of those up for my husband. I think he would appreciate those for Christmas, maybe.
Yeah, some of them are really hard to get, but you can get some of them on eBay, I think. You can get a bundle of them for relatively cheap.
Cool. I'll give it a go.
Fun fact, Liz Vassy was in an episode of Quantum Leap.
Oh, cool.
So,
see, full
brings that
circle.
back around.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, I just have one more question, but I'm going to slip one more in if that's okay. I was just going to ask you. So, I think a lot of people listening who are sci-fi fantasy fans can relate to being a fan, and then now you have these books. Do you have any advice for fans who would like to write and maybe write a novel, but they're intimidated or anything like that?
AKA me.
Yeah, just do it. Just write. When people say they're an aspiring writer, I think you're an aspiring published writer. You are a writer if you're writing stuff. So just write it and post it online. There's Archive of Our Own, which does
Yep.
fanfic
We're familiar.
and original. Yeah. Post it there. You'll get people find it, and you'll build fans, and the fans will help push you. And like I said, it was a fan who told me to pitch to Tello, and it was somebody who had read my fanfic who got me into the Stargate novels because they were looking for new blood. And she said, you know what? I know this guy. He knows the series inside and out. He's a writer. He's a good writer. Let's see if he's interested. And that's
so it was off of your fanfic. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was the people that I met through there. So if you can build an audience and you can get people who know your work and like your work, and you won't get good unless you're writing.
Yeah.
I mean, my earlier stuff is fine, but I've gotten better.
Yeah. Well, that is very inspiring to just get out there and do it. Yeah.
Yes. And like I said earlier, the worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah.
And you have to get rejections to get published, and no one's going to see you if you're not submitting stuff. So, just put yourself out there and don't be afraid of the no, because you're going to hear no a lot, but you've got to hear the no's to get to the yeses.
Okay.
I think that's a very good approach.
Yeah.
So thanks again for calling in. It was really a pleasure to chat. I saw you on Twitter being awesome, and I was like, oh, I got to, we'd love to talk to someone who's a fan, who's, working with Tello, who's doing, sci-fi fantasy stuff and LGBT representation.
Yeah.
So it was really great chatting with you. And let people know where they can find you online.
Twitter, like you said, is just my name, GeonnCannon. Same on Facebook and my website. Everything is just my name. Very boring, very but when you got a name spelled like mine, you might as well use it as a brand.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Well, thanks again. We really appreciate chatting with you.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Since we are podcast newbies, it would mean a lot to us if you'd subscribe and rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also, we love to hear from our listeners. Leave us a voicemail at 785-746-2604. Email us at ask@geekygirlguide.com, or hit us up on social media at Geeky Girl Guide, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And remember, in the words of the great John Barrowman, never apologize for being nerdy. Until next time.